Okay, so this is another problem. The reason why I chose this problem, and I like to explain, why I'm choosing these problems so you understand what the thinking is. So this is a great problem for figuring out or making sure that when you're setting up proportions, you're following the labeling. Okay, so let's look at this problem. This says. There's a group and they ordered buttons for participants, kind of like we do for booster club, sports buttons or whatever. So they're getting buttons and they're paying $18 for 12 dozen buttons. Okay, so it says write a proportion, answer each question, assume that the price is proportional to each size. But the thing I really need right away is this. Okay, so I know that my proportion in every single one of these is going to be somehow connected to $18 for 12 dozen buttons. Okay, and so I know everything. This is it. I'm taking this ratio out of the problem, and in each case, I'm going to use it to find out an unknown amount, either an amount of buttons or an amount or a price. Okay, so let's go over here to the side. And let's do A. So I'm taking this, shooting it over here, okay, putting it over that. I'm going to use this in every single one. Okay, so I have $18 for 12 dozen buttons. Okay, so now I'm making a proportion. Remember, a proportion is two equal ratios. So I got a ratio on each side. Line equals line. I'm going to have two ratios. And now I look back here at the at A. So it says how much will 4 dozen buttons cost? Okay, so I know that I'm going to have 4 dozen. So I go back over here. I'm looking, where is that label? That's at the bottom. 4 dozen. Okay, so I'm checking this. So dozen, look at this. Dozen, that matches. Okay. And so up here is going to be money. So I know that if I divide 12 by 3, I will get 4. And now I can divide this by 3, which means because if I do the top, if I do the bottom, I have to do the top. I'm dividing by 3, and my answer is going to be 6. So that answer is 4 dozen it will be $6. Okay. Now I'm going to go to B. B is 50 dozen. Okay, so I'm going to be scaling up. In A, I scaled down, right? I went from 12 dozen to 4 dozen. In B, using the same ratio, $18, because that's what we know. This is the known. I know that 12 dozen are $18. Okay, and it's dozen, so I'm putting the dozen down here, 50 dozen. Okay, again, look, I'm lining up the labels. And so on the top, I know I'm going to have money. Okay, so I'm going to figure out, what do I multiply 12 by to get 50? And if I put that in my calculator, if I say, okay, 50 divided by 12, what is that? I find out that I'm going to be multiplying by, and I'm going to round to tenths, 4.2. And so then I'm going to multiply 18 by 4.2, and I'm getting a little crowded there. Sorry, guys. I'm not even sure you can even read that. Okay, but so I'm going to take 18, and I'm going to multiply it by 4.2, and I'm going to get, I want to get to yellow, red, I'll go to red. 75.6. So that would be $75.60. So I know that I'm scaling up. Notice in the first one I scaled down. So that answer is going to be $75.60. And it's kind of an ugly thing. Okay, it's kind of ugly. I know that in your calculator, you got something that looked like this. And so just to remember about rounding, you probably got something that looks like this. Okay, so if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, which is over there, okay, that 6 is 5 or greater, so that 1 becomes a 2. So that's how I got 4.2. Okay, just to go over a little bit of that, because it's the beginning of the year. We want to make sure we're reviewing everything. Okay, so in C it says, how many can I buy for $27? So in this case, they are giving me they're giving me the money, not the dozen. Okay, so I'm again setting up my original ratio, and now I'm putting the money up on top. So now I'm looking for the dozens. Same process. Okay, I'm still looking to, I'm still matching up money over here. That means I'm going to have dozens down there. Okay, and I'm going to try to figure out now, what do I multiply 18 by to get 27? And I would put that in my calculator, and that would be 27 divided by 18, and I would get 1.5 or 1.5. So this is times 1 and 1/2. Okay, and if I, if I multiply this times 1.5 or 1.5, I'm going to get 18. 18 dozen. Notice I'm continuing to put down the labels. And I said in the beginning when we talked about proportions that labels are going to be very important, okay? Because you want to be able to see that you are lining them up. So that answer would be 18 dozen. Buttons. Okay, so D is similar, okay? In that it's looking for the same thing. Here they give me the money, all right? They give me the cost, and I'm finding out the dozen. So I have $18 over 12 dozen, same ratio, right? We kept talking about that, same ratio. And I'm also on this one doing the money, okay? So I'm looking money from money, okay, and dozen down here. And so I would divide and see what I can, what do I multiply 18 by to get 63? So 63 divided by 18 is going to be 3.5. Okay, so this is going to be times 3.5. So this would be times 3.5, okay? And so that would be, the answer would be 42. So the answer here is going to be 42. So over here, I'm making sure that that you can see exactly what the answers are. I know that some students come up and they circle the answers. Those are always great because I can really, I can look at the work, and sometimes the work is not as organized in the way I can see it. And so it's really good if you put the answer to the side and circle it. That's very awesome. I'm going to do on the other side here, I do want you to see that you could have done, and we talked about this when we did proportions, I could have done it this way. So line equals line, here's the proportion, right? I could have said $18 is what 12 dozen buttons cost, okay? I could have done them across from each other. We talked about this earlier in an earlier video. I still would have done the same thing. So let's look at the first problem. If I'm doing 4 dozen, okay, 4 dozen, that's the, what they gave me in the problem, 4 dozen, okay. Notice that, the ratio is across the top, and the labels match here. The labels match dozen over dozen. Still, in finding this answer, I could do that. I didn't do that because I don't really, it's harder for me to think, what do I multiply 12 by to get 18? I could do it different ways, but I would still get that same answer of $6. It still would be the same. But I did want to mention that because when I did the proportional instructional piece, I did say that you could put the ratio up and down or across from each other, and I could flip them upside down. There's lots of ways to do it, and we did talk about the fact that it is easier. Some ways are easier mathematically in the calculation, but I just want to keep practicing how to set up the proportions so we're very aware of the making sure that we're aligning the ratio that is given and the labels. Okay, good job, guys.